Maximilian Klein winds up with the Steel Blood.
The second
+2 is going to dominate. Sync is not enough to cover that either.
5, you're right, Mitch, and he would have to find exactly Sigil of Solace. It's the only out at this point.
On the stack, so to speak, that'll be covered. Here's the Sync. Off the top. You can't be serious! You cannot be serious! And the exact answers come off the top of the deck.
5 is offered here, block 3. What's the last card? What's the last card of Max's hand? It's
Sigil of Solace. Game 3, Maximilian. He's hesitating on it. You don't hesitate if you have it. No reactions. Arthur down to 2, and he's alive in this game. Are you kidding? Of those.
It would have to be a prevention effect. I don't see one.
Not a 1 in the hand. Not a 1. It's a Grimace, a Rueful. He shows it.
And that was it, folks, with that puffed up face. Arthur took Dromai straight into LL, and she is not coming back. Or is she? Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I've got another one on the quest log for you. I'm kind of thinking just a few months in the future, Dromai is coming back. James White has said as much. Or maybe it's just the community heavily speculating. Either way, she's coming back. Being a massive fan of the Dromai hero, I was kind of disappointed that she didn't come back with the Hunted set. I mean, it's in Volcor. It would only make sense if she came back there. I'm all for her not being in it though. So if we're not getting her in a main course set, how are we getting her back? One of the 4 Armory decks coming up between now and the next set? What? There is a lot coming down the pipe for this game. Being a fan, I've got some opinions. Shocker. So I think that the new Dromai is going to be first named Dromai Ashen Empress. She's going to be a royal draconic illusionist with the standard 40 HP, 4 intellect. And I think that her gameplay experience is going to focus around an increased difficulty to produce action points to swing with the dragons, as well as Ash to create the dragons. However, we're going to receive an enhanced skill expression. She isn't going to rely on swarming the board state with dragons. However, when the dragons do show up, they'll be very tough to deal with. This new Dromai is going to have 2 lines of text. The first line will say, the first time you create an Ash each turn, gain an action point. LSS has continued to print dust after dust after dust, matching corresponding dragons, despite Dromai having already LL'd, which tells me that this dust plays a primary role in Dromai's new deck composition. What better way to make these dusts more relevant while buffing your dragons by removing the phantasm keyword from them on demand? All you need is the corresponding dust, you play it, you get your action point back, and then you can play the corresponding dragon. You become far more threatening. I really like this as a part of her hero identity because it brings back her Draconic Illusionist attacks to the archetype. It creates an interesting gameplay decision for both players. The Dromai player could play a Doombreaker Senpai off of a blue. Then the opponent has to decide to pop this or not. So suppose in this scenario, they don't pop it, and then the Dromai player can follow up with an Embermaw Senpai for 8. Quite devastating an attack if you don't have a popper. In this scenario, however, our opponent has a popper at the CNC. So they destroy the Embermaw Senpai, but it creates an Ash, which allows Dromai to regain her action point. This allows the Dromai player to follow up with any other attack afterwards, or maybe even setting up an aura like Passing Mirage. Suppose instead the player popped the Doombreaker Senpai instead of the Embermaw. Well, in this case, Dromai gets her action point back and gets to follow up with the Embermaw, which is 8 damage on the back end anyway. So while she doesn't get to send the dust up at the end, she still creates the Ash, follows up with the 8 power attack. I also think this line of text makes some older Draconic Illusionist cards more relevant, like Sweeping Blow. Towards the end of Dromai's reign, players weren't really running Sweeping Blows, but now you have an excuse to not only run the red Sweeping Blows, but now the blue Sweeping Blows because it produces a second action point for you. This makes them relevant in every matchup. You play a Sweeping Blow, you make an Ash, you follow up with a Dust Up, and then, like in this play that we're seeing right here, you get to create a dragon when the Dust Up hits, swing with that dragon, and finish with dropping a Kyloria. But of course they have it and they pop him. I also think that this makes gameplay around Rake the Embers a little more interesting. It becomes a pitch stack finisher. Really makes this gameplay experience against Guardian archetypes or heroes with a lot of poppers far more interesting rather than just here's a 0 for 4 with go again.
The pitch stack would look a little something like this. You play or rake the embers, pitching a blue. You create an ash, gain the additional action point, and you can make as many ash wings as you deem necessary. Now that you have the additional action point, you can drop your passing mirage, then pitch your additional blue to remove a counter and attack with the ghostly touch. For 11, no phantasm. Additionally, you have your 3 ash wings in the back for when they inevitably get rid of your passing mirage. You could have pitch stack an additional passing mirage as a powerful endgame finisher. Dromai's second line of text will say, if you have played a draconic attack action card this turn, your first weapon or equipment ability you activate this turn costs 1 less. This second line of text is important because of Dromai's new weapon, Tempest of Sandikai.
It says, dragons you control have pay 0, attack. And then a second line of text that says, attack reaction, pay 1, gain go again. This forces Dromai to run blues and or draconic resource payoff cards. It adds an illusionist trick element into the gameplay as well. It offers defending players a decision point to pop or not. Suppose a Dromai player is attacking you with a Kyloria, and you have to decide, do I pop this Kyloria, or do I let it hit me and draw, thinking that they're not gonna have the ability to give it go again? And it adds an interesting decision point element for both the attacking player and the defending pit player, because now the attacking player has to decide, my Kyloria is hitting, do I pay the 1 resource to give it go again, hoping that what I draw into is another threatening card? All right, what kind of new armor are we gonna be getting in this Dromai Armory deck? The first one I can think of is a Majestic, goes in the boot slot. We're gonna call it Ashen Path. Boots, Draconic Illusionist. Instant, destroy this, make an ash. This synergizes with Dromai's new hero ability, and this card replaces Snapdragons. It effectively fits everything within the Snapdragon's potential, while also staying true to the Dromai archetype. And honestly, we kind of got a legendary equipment piece kind of like this, so when I wrote this about 2 months ago, I was kind of on the right path. The second equipment piece I would want to give to Dromai would be Kyloria's Gaze. It goes in the head slot, blocks 1, has Blade Break, and it's a Draconic Illusionist type. And it says, instant, destroy this. If you've pitched a red card this turn, draw a card. I think it'd be nice to give a new player in the game a simple cantrip that is not Crown of Providence, with an added trade-off that you have to pitch a card from your hand. So it'd be pretty nice to offer a new player the ability to fix your hand without the high price point. Okay, in the deck, what new cards would we get? I'm sure we would get a nice slew of them, but here are the 2 that I like the most. They're both in the Majestic category. The first one will be Dust from the Volcanic Depths, and it says, while this is under a permanent, other than a legendary dragon, it has Phantasm. So why not just say Tomultai, Dracona Optimi, and Dominia? That's because I think we're gonna get a new Majestic Dragon in this Armory deck. It's called Invoke Copia. It is a 1/1 for 1, and on attack, or at the start of each turn, copy target dragon's ability in grave. It could be something along those lines. Maybe not at the start of the turn, but when this enters the battlefield or at the beginning of your action phase, you get the copy. But the point is, it's a legendary dragon that can copy a dragon in your graveyard, and as long as it stays on the board, it can continuously recopy, because at the end of the turn, it reverts back to Copia. And that's all I got for you today. I'm really excited for the new Dromai Armory deck, and I can't wait to feast my eyes on what kind of awesome art and great plans they have for this new hero. Whatever Legend Story Studios comes up with, I'm sure it's gonna be really cool. But hey, if you could see this video and maybe pick a couple of these options, I'd be excited. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.